Archena's prediction: 2026 will transform the lives of these zodiac signs. That sentence hangs in the air like a door left ajar, an invitation to walk through, not a demand to rush. Archena sees patterns forming across the sky and in the quiet corners of everyday life, threads that, when pulled at the right time, unravel into opportunities, consolations, and unexpected rewards. This is not a promise written in stone. It is an observation, a map of tendencies, and a set of invitations for those willing to notice the signs and to act where action is needed. Archena has been listening to rhythms that repeat across years, long seasons of effort morphing finally into visible results, small decisions cascading into major shifts, reconciliations that arrive after months of distance and stubbornness. In 2026, that rhythm accelerates for many. For some signs, it will feel like a sudden door opening. For others, like a steady path becoming visible beneath their feet. What follows is Archena's reading, sign by sign, of where the wind is likely to carry you, when to watch for gusts, and how to stand so you don't miss them. If you want more seasonal updates from Archena as these patterns unfold, subscribe now. You'll get briefings and timing notes across the year. If you're keen on your own sign, you can fast forward, but listening straight through lets you catch the shared threads that will appear again and again. Reward for patience, clarity after confusion, and the slow alchemy that turns effort into stability. Begin with an open mind and a practical heart. These forecasts are meant to be used to recognize likely moments, to prepare, and to choose with clearer eyes. Aries, decisive breakthrough. Archena sees 2026 for Aries as a year that rewards those who finish what they began. Internally, the restless ember in an Ariadan heart cools into a purposeful flame. Less scattered impulse, more calibrated charge. Expect moments that demand a clear yes or no. The pressure to decide is not noise, it's signal. Timeline: late spring through early summer, particularly May-June, looks active for career openings. A second pulse around autumn refines choices into long-term commitments. Career finances: a job offer, a leadership role, or a collaborative contract may come with conditions that test patience. A choice between short-term gain and durable positioning. Financially, there could be an unexpected bonus or a quick pivot that improves cash flow, but it will likely require discipline to convert into long-term stability. Relationships: romantic streaks may intensify. Casual attractions may crystallize or fall away. For those already committed, an honest conversation about shared goals is likely to shift the relationship's map toward clearer boundaries and mutual tasks. Health: energetic courage is a strength, but Archena suggests channeling it into sustainable routines in spring. Small shifts, consistent sleep, measured exercise could prevent burnout during the mid-year surge. Spiritual/inner life: the internal narrative moves from proving something to becoming someone. Pride softens into purpose, and the inner critic can be reallocated into focused determination. Possible triggers: an external offer that asks for immediate visible results, a partnership that demands steady accountability, a public moment, presentation, pitch, audition that calls your name. Takeaway posture: prepare to say yes with conditions. Boldness served with planning will likely yield the most durable wins. If a door opens in May, walk through, but take a map. Taurus, quiet consolidation and reward. For Taurus, 2026 reads like the harvest after a patient season. Archena sees one central image: a house with its doors open, warm light spilling onto a path you walked for years. The inner shift is toward appreciating security without mistaking comfort for stagnation. Timeline: spring, March, April, brings opportunities tied to home, family, or creative property. Late year, November, December, clarifies decisions that began mid-year. Career/finances: This year could bring steady income improvements rather than sudden windfalls. Promotions, a reliable client, or the maturation of a side project into sustainable earnings are likely. Investments of time made in previous years may finally return in ways that feel stable. Relationships, family matters, and domestic arrangements come into focus. This may be a year for mending a strained domestic tie or for moving toward a home that better fits an evolving life. The key is discretion. Small, practical decisions will compound. Health. Health gains may be more about routine than drama. A consistent diet change, a sleep schedule, or a long-term physical therapy program that starts showing results in months rather than days. Spiritual/inner life. Patience deepens into gratitude. Taurus may discover new appreciation for the small rituals that make life sustainable. Possible triggers. An inheritance of responsibility, not necessarily money. An offer to scale a home-based business, or a landlord/neighbor situation that forces a useful decision. Takeaway posture. Protect the gains of spring. Consolidate rather than expand wildly. A modest yes now can become a firm foundation for later leaps. From fire to earth, now watch what the bulls will build next spring. Gemini, words become pathways. Gemini's thread in 2026 is about integration. Ideas that once scattered across notebooks and half-started messages finally stitched together into coherent projects. Archena senses a mental fusion that moves thought into form. Timeline. Spring into summer, April to July, is the creative window. This is when conversations mature into contracts or travel that becomes a relocation. Career, finances. Communication-driven opportunities are likely. A content project that gains traction, a consulting role, or a teaching platform that solidifies. Freelancers and those who monetize ideas by mid-year may see clearer income patterns. Relationships. Old conversations may return with new context. A reconciled friendship may become a business partner. A flirtation may evolve into a long-term relationship if both parties match words with actions. Health. Stress-related concerns could show up if Gemini's mind runs too fast. Archena advises building micro-routines that ground thought. Short daily walks or a defined work cutoff time in the evening. Spiritual inner life. There's a sense of narrative completion, patching the story you tell about yourself. That story can change in 2026. Watch for the chance to re-author an identity tied to curiosity and discipline. Possible triggers. A message that reopens an old door, an email, a social reconnection, an invitation to teach or present, or an opportunity to relocate for a role that favors your communicative gifts. Takeaway posture. Speak with intention. Not every conversation needs to become a plan, but the ones that do should be captured and organized. If a program or partner offers structure in summer, consider its long-term fit. If Aries acts, Taurus consolidates. Now the twins turn words into deeds. Cancer. Heart's quiet restoration. Archena sees 2026 as a healing year for Cancer. The tide recedes enough to reveal what was buried, and what emerges is salvageable. The emotional shift is towards steadiness, a capacity to feel deeply without being buried by feelings. Timeline. Mid-year, June-August, is a testing period. Spring may set the stage with domestic changes, and late summer may bring moments of reconciliation. Career finances. Home-based projects, caretaking roles, or businesses tied to hospitality and nurturing are likely to gain traction. Financially, small but meaningful gains may arrive through clearer boundaries in how you monetize care. Relationships. Old family dynamics may require renegotiation. This could be the year a long strain softens, or a necessary separation happens with dignity. Romantic life may move slowly toward depth rather than speed. Health. Emotional regulation practices, therapy, support groups, or structured journaling could produce steady improvements. Archena stresses routines that protect emotional bandwidth during June-August. Spiritual inner life. A return to ritual, Morning silence and evening gratitude practice helps integrate the year's changes. The inner life becomes less reactive and more intentional. Possible triggers: a family member's need that requires a choice, an inheritance of caregiving duties, or an offer to join a community-centered project that rewards the careful effort cancerers have invested. Takeaway posture: shelter what matters and let the rest find its way. Small boundaries will make larger generosity sustainable. Watch mid-year for tests that will reward a calm, steady response. From water to fire, Cancer's calm leads into Leo's stage. Leo, recognition and creative triumph. For Leo, 2026 holds the promise of being seen. Archena's image for Leo is a stage light warming a performer who has practiced alone for years. The inner change is from performing to offering. Less hunger for applause, more desire to express meaningfully. Timeline: late spring into mid-year, May-July is the peak window for visibility. A renewal in autumn may reinforce or expand the recognition. Career/finances: creative projects or leadership roles that were simmering can arrive at public recognition. This might be an award, a promotion, or a creative sale that brings both income and wider audience. Relationships: love life may feel dramatic in a constructive way. New admirers could appear, or an existing partner may step forward to match your ambitions. The risk is mistaking attention for alignment. Discernment will be essential. Health: energy levels may spike with the visibility surge. Archena recommends routines that sustain stamina rather than deplete it, measured pacing rather than sprinting. Spiritual/inner life: pride matures into purpose. The ego's need to be seen can align with service, producing a more durable sense of fulfillment. Possible triggers: a public opportunity, a presentation, a launch, a client or patron who offers support, or a creative collaboration that brings exposure and resources. Takeaway posture: shine responsibly. When an audience finds you in mid-year, let recognition fund your next steps rather than define them. Choose partnerships that sustain rather than simply applaud. If Leo's light warms, Virgo's steady hands will shape the plan. Virgo, rewarded discipline and renewed focus. Archena sees Virgo's 2026 as the year discipline turns into visible rewards. The inner shift is practical and profound. Systems stop being burdens and start being scaffolds for wider achievement. Timeline: autumnal months, September-November, are particularly potent, although signs of change may begin as early as summer. Career/finances: an elevation in role or a clearer leadership position could emerge as Virgo's careful work attracts attention. Financially, this may be a year to redirect savings into purposeful investments in skills or infrastructure, things that increase capacity. Relationships: emotional clarity becomes a priority. Relationships that have been strained by mismatched expectations will either adapt or reveal their limits. For committed pairs, this is a year to align daily rhythms, practical adjustments that feel small but compound. Health: attention to detail yields health improvements. Small changes in nutrition, posture, or schedule may accumulate into greater resilience. Spiritual/inner life: the inner critic softens into a problem solver. Virgo may discover compassion in their scrutiny when it shifts from finding flaws to improving systems. Possible triggers: a promotion that asks you to scale, a mentor recognizing your reliability, the opportunity to lead a project that needs your organizational gifts. Takeaway posture: keep your standards but reduce the severity. Trust systems you build to support expansion rather than controlling every outcome. Is an autumn opportunity requires delegation, accepted with measured confidence. From the ordered to the collective rhythm, here, mid-year momentum changes the pattern. Midpoint montage: a pattern emerges. Pause for a moment and let the pattern Archena sees. Across fire, earth, air, and water, 2026 is shaping into a year that rewards process. For Aries and Leo, it's about decisive acts that yield recognition and new roles. For Taurus and Virgo, the theme is consolidation, practical wins that stabilize life for the next chapter. Gemini and Cancer find a different but complementary rhythm. Words and relationships becoming the soil for new work and deeper emotional steadiness. Notice that these are not isolated promises. They are echoes of a single movement. Inner work and steady effort meeting favorable timing. Archena describes this year as one where synchrony matters. A meeting, a message, a small yes in May, or a careful consolidation in autumn can line up with external circumstances to create disproportionate results. The sky, Archena suggests, is offering aligning moments, but those moments need human choices to transform them from potential to reality. This is why posture matters. The person who waits anxiously for luck will likely miss the opening, while the one who cultivates readiness, clear priorities, boundary setting, and an ethic of small, consistent actions will be best positioned to convert opportunities into durable outcomes. Illustrative examples make this clearer. Imagine an Aries entrepreneur who, after months of pitching, receives an offer in May that looks tempting but requires shelving a parallel product. If she chooses to accept without planning, she may ride the wave but find herself unable to sustain growth. If she accepts with a plan to delegate and protect long-term development, the offer can be the lever that scales her venture. Think of a Taurus homeowner who has been renovating bit by bit. In April, a neighbor suggests a partnership on a rental idea. The Taurus who consolidates the gains and tests the market gently may find a steady stream of income by year end. A Gemini teacher who finally turns scattered lessons into a coherent online course in June may discover the course not only brings income but becomes a platform for future speaking engagements. These stories are not the only possible outcomes. They are examples of the dynamics Archena is seeing: timing that amplifies preparation and small choices that multiply when the conditions are right. A short interlude on how Archena reads these rhythms. He listens for patterns, repeating motifs in conversation, timing clusters that show up in charts of opportunity, and symbolic images that convey emergent themes. He treats those motifs as invitations, not commands, and translates them into practical signposts for timing and posture. The image language he uses, doors, flame, spring, autumn, point to moments when action may be more fruitful. That said, Archena never treats predictions as destiny, rather as a set of likely currents you can either surf or stand aside from. At this midpoint, the invitation is simple. Notice where your life already feels aligned with these images. Are you being nudged toward a decision in May? Is there a slow accumulating reward waiting for consolidation in autumn? Those are the moments where attention and a small wise act could convert a possibility into a turning point. From here, the terrain begins to shift again. The remaining signs carry their own archetypes: purification and leadership, expansion and consolidation, radical change toward stability, and practical soulful ascent. Each will have its windows and its posture to adopt. Keep in mind, the themes repeat in different guises. What was decisive for Aries may be steady for Taurus. What demands visibility for Leo may call for quiet discipline in Virgo. The second half of Archena's reading will turn to those patterns, to the signs that move now from inner adjustment into outward formalization, and to the seasonal cues that make 2026 a year of notable change. Yet before we move on, take a quiet moment. What single small decision have you been avoiding? Imagine doing it in May if you are a spring charge sign, or preparing quietly over the summer if your harvest comes in autumn. The choices you make between now and the months listed for each sign will not guarantee outcomes, but they will change the odds in your favor. Now hold that thought as the reading curves toward the remaining signs, where themes of purification, elevation, radical stabilization, and soulful consolidation await their moments to be recognized and seized. Libra, renewal through decisive choice. Archena sees 2026 for Libra as the year where balance turns into deliberate choice. The scales that have been wobbling settle not because the world becomes simpler, but because you begin to choose more clearly what deserves your energy. Internally, the restless weighing between options becomes a practiced discernment. You feel less torn and more selective. Timeline. Early summer into mid-year, June to August, is a moment of accelerated decision-making, with autumn, September to November, bringing consolidation of those choices into stable arrangements. Career/finances. Professional shifts may arrive as invitations that require a moral or aesthetic stance as much as technical skill. A new role that asks you to represent values, a partnership that asks for clear boundaries, or a client base that aligns more with who you are becoming. Financially, steady accumulation is likely if you avoid splurges tied to feeling validated. Long-term gains may follow careful reallocation rather than risk-driven bets. Relationships. Partnerships become the focus, romantic, business, or creative. Archena senses that some Libras will find a long-neglected relationship stepping into a new phase after honest discussion. Others may gracefully set a relationship aside when its values no longer align. Social circles may rearrange to favor those who support the new priorities. Health. Stress from indecision may manifest early in the year. Small practices that anchor choice-making, such as a weekly planning ritual or a short exercise routine that marks the boundary between work and rest, will likely deliver outsized benefits. Spiritual, inner life. Libras may discover that balance is not a static state, but a series of chosen alignments. The inner voice that once tried to keep everyone happy can be retrained to protect what matters most. Possible triggers. An offer to join a partnership that requires public representation. A chance to relocate for a role that better matches your aesthetic or ethical values. A financial opportunity that asks for clarity on long-term goals. Illustrative example. Imagine a Libra designer invited to lead a brand relaunch in June. The job pays well, but demands compromises on design ethics. If she negotiates terms that preserve her values and sets boundaries with clients who won't respect them, she may find the role becomes a platform for steady work and aligned collaborations later in the year. Takeaway posture. Choose with both heart and criteria. Set 1 or 2 non-negotiables early and let them guide decisions in summer. You don't need to weigh every option forever. Prioritize alignment over pleasing everyone. From Libra's renewed balance, we move into Scorpio's deep refinement. Scorpio, purification and leadership emergence. Archena describes Scorpio's 2026 as a season of purification that quietly prepares you for leadership. Internally, there's a shedding of what no longer fuels purpose. What remains is distilled and potent. The change is not dramatic fireworks, but a slow transmutation, pain into clarity, secrecy into focused agency. Timeline, late summer into autumn, August through October, is decisive for formalizing new roles. Spring may show the first stirrings of inner reordering. Career/finances. Professional elevation may arrive through roles that demand discretion and responsibility, leadership of a team, management of sensitive projects, or stewardship over resources. Financially, there may be formalizations, contracts, legal recognitions, or consolidated assets that reflect earlier efforts finally taking shape. Relationships. Emotional purification could mean that intense attachments either deepen with honesty or dissolve when contradictions persist. Archena senses that some Scorpios will step into new relational authority, not controlling, but responsible and present. Health. Transformation-focused habits, detoxing routines metaphorically and practically, better sleep hygiene, or boundary practices that reduce emotional drain may yield noticeable resilience by autumn. As always, practical caution is advised. Small, steady changes trump extreme fads. Spiritual/inner life. A deeper sense of purpose may emerge as old grievances are released. This may be a year when private practices, contemplative time, careful reading, or quiet mentorship form the backbone of public leadership. Possible triggers: a confidential opportunity that comes with trust, a legal or contractual formalization, a crisis that asks you to respond with calm authority rather than reactivity. Illustrative example. Picture a Scorpio nonprofit manager whose organization faces scrutiny in August. If she responds by clarifying systems, communicating transparently, and restructuring responsibilities, what begins as a challenge may lead to a stronger mandate and recognition of her leadership by autumn. Takeaway posture. Use this year to simplify rather than multiply. Protect your energy, formalize what matters, and let leadership arise from service and integrity rather than opportunism. From Scorpio's depth, we travel to Sagittarius's widening horizon. Sagittarius, from longing to realization. Archena reads Sagittarius's 2026 as a transition from possibility into tangible expansion. The inner shift is a movement from restless dreaming to the disciplined pursuit of larger horizons, travel, study, or a broadened mission that finally finds roots to reality. Timeline. Spring reordering, March-May, sets the stage. Summer, June through September, expands opportunities outward. Autumn, October through November, consolidates gains into lasting frameworks. Career/finances. Expansion may come as roles that require broader reach, international collaboration, teaching beyond your usual circles, or launching services that scale. Financially, investments in learning or platforms may start to return value in autumn as audiences and partnerships align. Relationships. Romantic and platonic relationships could broaden through travel, study groups, or shared missions. New faces from different backgrounds may enter your life, challenging assumptions and enriching perspectives. Health. Adventurous energy requires careful grounding. If you plan travel or increased activity, build routines that maintain sleep and nutrition even on the road. Spiritual inner life. A philosophical reorientation may occur, shifting from searching externally to cultivating inner frameworks that guide broader action. Practices like journaling on long-term goals or mapping a 5-year plan could be surprisingly stabilizing. Possible triggers: an invitation to lead a workshop abroad, a fellowship or training opportunity in spring, or a chance to pilot a program that scales your reach. Illustrative example. Imagine a Sagittarius academic offered a summer teaching residency overseas in June. If he decides to accept and designs the residency as a seed for an online course, by autumn he could have both the credentials and the initial audience to expand his work sustainably. Takeaway posture. Keep exploring, but plan for return. Let expansion be grounded by clear logistics and long-term commitments. Travel is most fruitful when followed by integration. From Sagittarius's horizon, the reading descends into Capricorn's elevation. Capricorn, professional ascent and practical mastery. Archena sees Capricorn's 2026 as a year where effort finally meets visible elevation. The inner shift is pragmatic confidence. Patience has been a teacher, and now competence is recognized. This is a season of earning institutional confidence and translating long-term labor into positions of influence. Timeline. Late year and autumn, September-December, are especially potent for professional peaks, with earlier months offering preparatory work that becomes visible toward year's end. Career finances. Promotions, high responsibility roles, or formal recognition may arrive. Financial peaks could occur in autumn as contracts close or long-term projects yield returns. Archena cautions that success will likely demand ongoing stewardship rather than a one-time celebration. Relationships. Professional commitments may reshape personal time. There may be a need to delegate domestic tasks or renegotiate partnership roles to sustain new responsibilities. Some Capricorns may find romantic relationships deepen as partners step into practical support. Others may need to create clearer boundaries. Health. Elevated responsibility can stress the body if rest is neglected. Establishing recovery rituals, short naps, movement breaks, and regular medical check-ins can protect longevity in high-demand months. Spiritual. Inner life. Satisfaction arrives from mastery rather than applause. Capricorns may find a quiet pride in being reliable. Spiritual practice could become integrated into daily routines, reinforcing a sense of sacred duty in ordinary tasks. Possible triggers: an executive offer in autumn, a long-awaited contract closure, or the formalization of a project into a recognized institution. Illustrative example. Envision a Capricorn engineer who, after years of quietly building systems, finds his architecture adopted by a major client in November. If he prepares systems for scale earlier in the year, the result could be both increased income and the capacity to hire a team that sustains growth. Takeaway posture: prepare systems for the new scale. If recognition arrives, protect it with delegation and clear structures so the wins are enduring. From Capricorn's steady climb, we pivot to Aquarius's radical stabilization. Aquarius, radical change leading to stability. Archena predicts Aquarius will experience a paradox: radical changes that ultimately create steadier ground. Internally, you may feel like the currents are sudden and unconventional, but the long-term result is a new, more authentic stability. The inner transformation is toward accepting unpredictability as a creative force rather than a threat. Timeline: early year concretization, January-March, can set crucial foundations. Summer projects, June-August, may test ideas. Autumn moves, September-November, could formalize new living or working arrangements. Career finances. Opportunities might arrive from community-based projects, tech innovation, or unconventional partnerships. Financial flows may stabilize if Aquarius channels radical ideas into repeatable models, membership platforms, recurring services, or shared economy initiatives. Relationships. Friend groups and romantic partners may shift to reflect deeper commitments to shared causes. Some Aquarians will form intentional communities or co-living arrangements that support both freedom and structure. Health. Change can be unsettling. Mindful practices that anchor nervous systems, breath work, consistent sleep, and communal support will likely be beneficial. Spiritual inner life. A sense of belonging to something bigger may develop as your individuality finds collective expression. The inner paradox is that freedom grows when embedded in reliable systems. Possible triggers: an early year offer to formalize a community project, a summer pilot that proves viability, or an autumn move that anchors a previously nomadic pattern. Illustrative example: think of an Aquarius entrepreneur who pilots an online collective in February. The pilot attracts a committed core in summer, and by October, she formalizes it into a subscription model that provides steady income and sustained community engagement. Takeaway posture: embrace change with structure. Radical ideas are most sustainable when paired with small systems that recur. From Aquarius's collective reinvention, we enter Pisces' practical, soulful ascent. Pisces, practical growth and emotional equilibrium. Archena senses Pisces 2026 as a year where dreamy potential meets practical anchors. The inner shift is from floating to arriving. Intuition remains a compass, but Pisces learns to translate inner knowing into concrete steps that yield material and emotional stability. Timeline: spring clarity, March-May, brings insight into finances and vocation. Autumn, September, November, could mark a financial apex or important emotional milestones. Career/finances. Creative and service-oriented opportunities may solidify into dependable income streams. Archena sees potential for revenue tied to compassionate work, counseling, creative production, or therapeutic arts to move from passion into steadier earnings by autumn. Relationships. Emotional steadiness becomes a focus. Romantic life may stabilize as partners match intentions with actions. Friendships that offer both tenderness and practical support are favored. Health. Practices that honor sensitivity, boundaries, grounding routines, and gentle physical activity will likely enhance resilience. Emotional self-care is not indulgence, but maintenance. Spiritual/inner life. Spiritual practices may take a practical turn, scheduled contemplative time, committed service, or creative rituals that structure the inner life. This practical mysticism allows Pisces to bring depth into daily choices. Possible triggers: a spring offer to monetize a creative practice, a summer collaboration with a practical partner, or an autumn financial opportunity that recognizes the value of your work. Illustrative example. Picture a Pisces musician who in May accepts a residency teaching songwriting therapeutically. By autumn, a residency has led to steady local gigs and a small but reliable income stream that supports studio time for original projects. Takeaway posture. Ground intuition with timelines. Let your sensitivity guide priorities, but map those impulses onto small, repeatable actions that create stability. Collective patterns and the year's rhyme. As we close the detailed readings, Archena's broad pattern returns into focus. 2026 is not a year of miracles arriving ex nihilo, nor is it simply another rotation of repetitive frustration. Instead, Archena perceives a rhythm where internal alignment, small disciplined actions, and key seasonal windows conspire to make certain outcomes more likely. Across signs, 3 motifs keep repeating: doors opening, opportunity; consolidation, stabilization; and purification, clarity. The tempo shifts by sign. Some will experience a loud, visible door, others a quiet consolidation, still others a deep purification that primes future leadership. Timing matters. Spring tends to activate seeds planted in prior years. Summer accelerates expansion and visibility. Autumn consolidates and formalizes gains. The months Archena highlights: spring pulses in March-May, mid-year transformations in June to August, and autumn resolutions in September to November, are opportunities to align decisions with outer conditions. But remember, these are tendencies, not guarantees. A May opening can be missed if your posture is passive. An autumn consolidation may not hold if systems are not in place. Practical strategies that emerge from Archena's reading are simple but powerful. Prepare systems before opportunities arrive. A clear financial plan, a support team, or reliable daily habits. Translate intuition into small, scheduled acts. Decide one step to take each week that moves you toward a larger goal. Protect your bandwidth. Say no to requests that drain crucial time during a key seasonal window. Lean on trusted advisors. The person who's been in your corner may notice patterns you miss. A few broader examples make the collective pattern feel more concrete. An entrepreneur across signs who builds a simple weekly planning ritual in February may find herself able to say yes wisely to a May offer. A creative who commits to a course-building plan in March could find a summer launch amplified by a timely collaboration. A caretaker who sets boundaries and consistent self-care in early months may be available to receive a late-year consolidation. Practical postures: how to steward 2026. Archena's counsel is practical and humane. You do not need to be heroic to benefit from these currents. You need to be ready, honest, and disciplined in small, effective ways. Below are attitudes and actions that tend to increase the odds of favorable outcomes across signs. 1. Map the months that matter for your sign and schedule small actions. If your season is spring, choose a specific decision to resolve by May. If autumn is your anchor, begin consolidating in summer so that systems are functioning by September. 2. Build 3 guardrails: financial, relational, and health. A modest emergency fund, one boundary in your closest relationship, and a simple health practice, sleep schedule, daily walk, will defend new gains from common disruptions. 3. Practice the 2-question decision test. Will this action advance a key priority? And can I accept its short-term cost without sacrificing long-term capacity? If the answer to both is yes, lean in with a plan. 4. Create a micro-accountability habit. Share a monthly goal with one trusted ally or schedule a 15-minute check-in with yourself to track progress. Small external accountability often transforms intention into reality. 5. Learn to reframe setbacks as signals, not failures. If a door closes in the summer, ask what the closure frees you to pursue. Sometimes the most useful rejection is a redirection. An interlude on risk and agency. It's important to say clearly what Archena's reading does not mean. Predictions are not instructions to abdicate agency. They do not remove the need for critical thinking, professional advice, or prudence. Archena's vision points to timing and tendency. It does not replace legal, medical, or financial counsel. If a prediction suggests health improvements through better routines, that remains a call to adopt sustainable habits, not to reject medical advice. Similarly, if a sign is told of potential financial gains, that is not an encouragement to gamble. Treat opportunities as chances to apply judgment and care. The safest path is to pair Archena's timing with sound planning and external consultation when stakes are high. Seasonal calendar, quick guide by sign. Here's a practical seasonal snapshot for easy reference. Use it as a rough compass, not a calendar of guarantees. Aries, late spring, early summer, May, June for decisive breakthroughs, autumn for refinement. Taurus, spring, March, April for home and consolidation, late year, November, December for clarity on decisions. Gemini, spring, summer, April, July for communication projects and possible relocation. Cancer, mid-year testing, June, August with late summer reconciliations. Watch domestic shifts in spring. Leo, late spring, mid-year, May, July for visibility, autumn renewal possible. Virgo, summer into autumn, August, November for elevated roles, start preparing in summer. Libra, early summer, June, August for decisive choices, autumn consolidation. Scorpio, late summer, autumn, August, October for purification and leadership formalization. Sagittarius, spring, March, May for reordering, summer expansion, June, September, autumn consolidation. Capricorn, late year and autumn, September, December for professional peaks, preparatory work earlier in the year. Aquarius, early year concretization, Jan, March, summer projects, June, August, autumn moves, Sep-Nov. Pisces, spring clarity, March, May, autumn financial or emotional milestones, Sep-Nov. A short checklist to prepare by season. Spring, March through May, seed decisions, finalize plans you can act on in May, tidy finances and confirm support for potential new responsibilities. Summer, June through August, execute visible work, launches, presentations, travel, protect rest to avoid mid-year burnout, watch for collaborations that may scale. Autumn, September through November, consolidate gains, formalize agreements, and set structures to hold new responsibilities into the following year. Final practical examples, applying Archena's reading. To make this less abstract, here are a few composite scenarios across different signs that illustrate how 2026 patterns may play out when combined with thoughtful posture. A Virgo project manager who consolidates her delegation plans in July may find a promotion in October is sustainable rather than overwhelming because the team and systems are already in place. A Gemini who structures scattered work into a course by June may create a steady income stream and a professional platform that opens speaking opportunities in the fall. A Capricorn freelancer who protects evenings and invests in a bookkeeping system in early months may enjoy their busiest autumn without losing personal time or financial clarity. A Pisces therapist who begins a small scheduled group in April could see that group become a reliable client base by autumn, supporting both income and creative practice. A Taurus homeowner who chooses modest, tested investments in their rental property in April may have a steady cash flow by year-end rather than a volatile gamble that strains resources. An Aquarius community organizer who formalizes membership benefits in March could convert an energetic but sporadic following into a sustainable platform by October. These are not predictions of guaranteed success. They are illustrations of how timing, posture, and preparation interact with the possibilities Archena sees. How to recognize synchrony, practical signals. Archena emphasizes that synchrony, the feeling that several small signals align to signal a larger opening, tends to arrive in clusters. Here are practical signs you might be encountering synchrony. Repeated invitations or messages about a similar theme across days or weeks. A coinciding of personal readiness and external opportunity. You've prepared a draft when a collaborator reaches out with a related offer. Unusual clarity after a period of confusion, often accompanied by a specific person who offers decisive help. Recurring numbers, images, or metaphors that nudge you toward a particular kind of action. When you notice those signs, pause and map a small next step you can take within a 30-day window. Synchrony rarely requires immediate heroics. It usually rewards a timely, well-planned response. A gentle word about endings. For several signs in 2026, endings are as important as beginnings. An end cleared now can free space for later consolidation. Archena counsels dignified closure. Respond honestly, set practical terms, and avoid theatrics. Ending with clarity preserves energy and reputation, both of which are useful when new opportunities arrive. Final counsel from Archena. In closing, Archena's tone is both prophetic and practical. The prediction is not an oracle that removes your choices. It is a prompt to act with clarity and kindness. Here are Archena's closing recommendations. Cultivate readiness. A small, consistent practice in work, health, or relational boundaries will increase your capacity to receive favorable timing. Be selective about visibility. When recognition arrives, ask how it serves your longer arc before stepping fully into the light. Protect your creative and physical bandwidth. The year's openings may be generous. They will be most sustainable if you guard time for rest and reflection. Seek counsel. Trusted advisors, mentors, or professional consultants can help you translate potential into durable systems. Practice grateful discernment. Notice what you receive, give thanks, and then ask practical questions before saying yes. Archena's final line is simple. 2026 will likely be a year where choices meet timing. Doors will open, but the person who prepared their coat and map will travel best. Compendium. Quick sign prompts, one-liners. If you want a quick bookmark for each sign, here's a compact prompt from Archena to keep handy as the year unfolds. Aries. Decide boldly in late spring. Plan to delegate as you expand. Taurus. Consolidate home and income in spring. Protect gains into winter. Gemini. Turn words into projects in spring-summer. Build routines to sustain creativity. Cancer. Reinforce boundaries and self-care in mid-year. Preserve steady presence. Leo. Accept visibility with a long-term plan. Pace your energy through mid-year. Virgo. Prepare systems to scale in summer. Accept delegation with confidence in autumn. Libra, set non-negotiables and choose in early summer. Align relationships with values. Scorpio, simplify and formalize in late summer. Lead from quiet integrity. Sagittarius, expand with learning and travel in spring-summer. Integrate by autumn. Capricorn, finish strong in autumn. Structure to sustain newfound roles. Aquarius, radical ideas stabilize if paired with small systems. Start concretization early. Pisces, ground intuition in practical routines. Look for autumn consolidation of income. Parting invitation. Archena has named a pattern. 2026 holds openings for many signs, some loud, some quiet, that reward preparation, discernment, and steady action. If this forecast touched you, consider one small concrete step you can take this week. Draft a plan, schedule a conversation, set a non-negotiable health habit, or create a one-page decision map for your spring or autumn window. Small, consistent acts are often the unseen engine behind a larger fortune. Tell us your sign in the comments. Did Archena name you among 2026's favored? Share which prediction surprised you most. And if you'd like, tag a friend of that sign so they can prepare their posture. If you want more timing notes and seasonal updates from Archena as the year unfolds, like this video, subscribe, and share with someone who needs to hear this forecast. Affirmation to close. 2026 will not be a tidy script handed to you, but it can be the year where patient work meets fortunate timing. Stand ready, choose wisely, and walk through the doors that align with your purpose.